JoJo's Part 6 Stone Ocean is finally here. Now JoJo's fans can rejoice because we're one step closer to a Steel Ball Run adaptation. In all seriousness, Jolene's adventures are by far the most absurd yet, and feature stands that put even Gold Experience and King Crimson to shame with how bafflingly confusing they are. If you haven't read Stone Ocean, then you are really not ready for where this part is going. And no, even knowing how it ends cannot and will not prepare you for just how mind-bending this part's content is. But we're not here to talk about Part 6, no, we're here to discuss the JoJo part that you likely skipped. See, it was the first of the Netflix exclusive JoJo's content and released before even Vento Oreo had dropped on the service, not to mention the fact that it's hidden away as its own separate listing. That's right, I'm talking about the 4-episode OVA and 6-episode drama based on the side manga about everyone's favorite sociopathic mangaka, Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan. Based on a series one-shot manga made by Araki himself, Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan is a series of vignettes and stories about Rohan's various misadventures while researching topics for his new manga. However, what makes this series so unique compared to the main series is its emphasis on horror. When I said misadventures before, you see, I really should have said terrifying encounters. Okay, maybe terrifying is a little generous, but they're still fun little scary stories about one step up from Goosebumps. But part of what adds to the series' horror is Araki's masterful use of tension. Imagine all the stakes and oddities of a stand battle, but replace the stands with various supernatural occurrences. That's what makes Kishibe Rohan's stories so special. Ranging from tall tales, ghost stories, urban legends, and even in eldritch horror, each chapter highlights a different kind of horror story and provides its own unique twists. Similarly, the adaptations add their own strengths, with the anime adding some narrative elements at either end to ground the story more in the realm of the show, and the live-action version stretching out its tales into 50-minute-long dramatic affairs. If you've been watching the anime, you know what to expect from this adaptation. David Productions does what they do best and gives us near panel-by-panel remakes of most of the scenes, but again, with added moments at the start and end of each chapter that allow it to sit more comfortably in the world of the anime. Of course, the show's voice acting also adds to the overall mood and tension of the stories too. Hearing the fear and desperation in the supernatural encounters lends a lot to the overall horror factor. Meanwhile, the drama is no slouch either. Now, typically you'd assume that drawing out a 50-page manga chapter into a 50-minute episode would lead to bloated and meandering affairs. But no, instead the show opts to use this time to more properly introduce you to characters and give you a good sense of who they are, mostly Rohan and his editor. It also keeps said editor from Millionaire Village and brings her along for the whole series too. As of right now, only one of the drama episodes overlaps with the anime's chosen 4 adaptations, but once the series airs its next set of 3 episodes, that number will jump to 3 of 6 episodes overlapping. That being said, the episodes that don't overlap are really the main reason to watch this adaptation. Kushagra is based on a short story written by Kitaguni Ballad that was published alongside one of the manga chapters and is about a man's maddening search for a word that doesn't exist and the truth of its origins. While DNA is an adaptation of one of the original series' more bittersweet tales, it uses the show's serial structure to create a story that feels almost half its own. Also, the DNA episode opens with a Part 4 reference. Oh, and if you're worried about stuff like how Heaven's Door looks, don't be. The show actually knows its limits and decides not to show the proper stand and actually uses practical effect for people's pages. It also adds a fun detail that each person's pages are uniquely styled around their personality. Also, Rohan's actor is fantastic at portraying his smug and selfish personality. But all of that was just about the stories. What about our titular character? Araki has gone on record as saying Rohan is his favorite character, and the bias is clear here. In many of the author's notes of the manga, Araki would point out how many of the stories started as completely unrelated tales, but the moment he added Rohan to the mix, the story would just all come together. And no matter how you consume Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan, that fact is immediately made clear. Rohan makes the perfect protagonist for this kind of story, since his curiosity will always get the better of him and lead him into these dangerous situations. However, his flippant attitude makes him a joy to watch as he witnesses sights and encounters that would scare and confuse even most stand users. Plus, telling the story through the perspective of a professional storyteller doesn't hurt the presentation. And when I say protagonist, I do mean that loosely. In just about every tale, Rohan is a side character experiencing the horrors secondhand. He's never the subject, just the lens we see the story through. And it works so well that, well, Araki may have even convinced me to make him my new favorite character. I should warn you that if you choose to read the manga and haven't read into part 8, there may be a few small details that can confuse you, as most of the Spoke Kishibe Rohan was made during JoJo Leon's run and features a few small nods to it. Otherwise, I believe that this miniseries is stellar and shows Araki at his best. Whether you watch the anime, the drama, or read the manga, there is no wrong way to go about enjoying the Spoke Kishibe Rohan. And if you're like me, you may even find yourself with a new favorite part of JoJo's.